Good afternoon, Card Communities RJ. It is Sunday, so it is time for the Sunday Trivia Recap. All right. Hope you all had a great week. Obviously, as I predicted, my Philadelphia Phillies have fallen to the Dodgers. It was no surprise to any of us in Philadelphia, to be quite honest with you. We always have hope, but the truth is, the Phillies, for whatever reason, just forget how to hit in the postseason. I think the Dodgers probably were the better team. They were more heavily injured than the Phillies throughout the year. That's what held them back from, you know, being the best team in all of baseball. But frankly, they actually were probably the best team in all of baseball, not the Brewers. But the Phillies are out. Dodgers are still in. And the field is set for the NLCS and the ALCS. Dodgers, Brewers, Mariners, Tigers. I am very much hoping for a Mariners Brewers World Series. Two teams that have never won the World Series. One team that has never been to the World Series. But I find it hard to believe anybody's going to beat the Dodgers. But you never know. That's why I love watching baseball. But today we're here to talk about trivia and prizes. So let's get to that, shall we? Monday's question. On Monday's question, I asked the 1984 film, The Natural, was loosely based on a real life incident where a deranged fan shot and tried to kill a member of the Philadelphia Phillies. Name that Philadelphia Phillies member. Pretty much everybody knew right away it was Eddie Waitkus. Here he is on his 2014 Panini Golden Age card. Right there. It says he was ambushed and shot by a crazed female fan in 1949, narrowly surviving. So Eddie Waitkus was the answer. What you playing for? Awesome card. I believe this is from 2012 Topps. One of these reproductions of the Mickey Mantle card. This is his 1965 Topps reimagined in a shiny shine version. That's what you're playing for. Individuals up here on the screen were kind enough to throw out a guess. Lisa Z's name remains up on here. Lisa was a longtime supporter of my channel, as well as everybody in the card community. She passed away very early in the calendar year, but I keep her name up here to honor her. Her name is not checked, so while her name is on the list, it does not appear in the box as my way to honor her, and that'll be done until the end of this calendar year. For everybody else, all regulars, everybody here is typical. Normal appearance on my channel. I will shuffle once and spin. You must hit 3 times on my channel to win. I do that for 2 reasons. One is not a lot of people answer it, so I have fewer names. And the second one is because I always hate it when you spun and win, and the first name that came up was the victor. Everybody else was kind of like left hanging. But when you have 175, 50 names even, you can't do it 3 times and win. But since I barely have, I always have less than 20, I have that ability, and I like to, and I like it, and I choose to. So here we go. We have shuffled. We will spin. Good luck to everybody on this one. So, yeah, like I had said before, in past videos, I'm kind of slowing down my purchasing. A lot of personal expenses outside the world of baseball cards have put a crimp in my baseball card budget. So it is difficult for me to justify spending big amounts on baseball cards when I'm, spending X amount on cars and home projects and college education for the kiddies and all that fun stuff. Just supporting my family as opposed to supporting my hobby. So I don't have a lot of great things to show off. That's one of the reasons I switched to this current format of showing off 10 interesting cards from the various years Topps set. I figured that would be a good way to show off something of interest to everybody else. At least I think it's interesting. That's why I called it 10 interesting cards. But everybody else seems to be enjoying it. So this week I'm going to branch out into the other card manufacturers. So I went to three of the other card manufacturers, and I'm showing off 10 interesting cards on some of the other card manufacturers in the list. I do know that some of the more common card manufacturers are known for some of their awesome images. You can all think of a couple Fleer or Donruss cards, mostly Fleer, that you just smiled and you know laughed about because they were great images. Still to this day, people talk about, and these cards were so iconic they actually sell for a premium in some circles. So I find that highly interesting myself. But again, that is what I will be showing off this coming week. But again, I still have some interesting pickups every once in a while. I still am. I'm not buying tons of product like I used to, but I'm certainly buying stuff. I'm not buying high-end products. But when I say high-end, I mean I'm not buying um, slab cards too often. Ooh, pause. Alan, Boston fan, congrats to you, sir. That's 3 for you. Been a while since Alan's won. You're going to be getting this great Mickey Mantle card. I hope you enjoy that, sir. Wednesday's question I asked, um, who was the first member of the Hall of Fame who was elected, whether the Veterans Committee or however they got into the Hall of Fame, they're in the Hall of Fame. Who was the first member elected to the Hall of Fame who already had a relative in the Hall of Fame, but immediately like father, son, or brother. All right. Now, because there's people out there who say, well, these guys are like 35th cousins if you look back in genealogy. Yeah, okay, fine. Hey, we're all related if you want to play that game. But obviously, brothers or father and son. So who was the first one elected to the Hall of Fame who already had a relative in the Hall of Fame? Now, that begs the question, how many people elected were siblings or brothers or whatever? So let's start. These are in alphabetical order, okay? So the first one are father and son, the MacPhails. Larry MacPhail was elected, and so was his son, Lee MacPhail. Not going to tell years for right now. We're going to get to that in a second. Now, by alphabetically listing, the next one were the Wayner brothers. You can actually see on these cards, it tells you when they were elected. All right. And finally, you have the Wright brothers, not the airplane guys, the baseball guys, George and Harry. So those are the only 3 instances of relatives having been elected. Actually, I shouldn't say that. There were some Negro League stars. I got to catch myself. There were some Negro League stars. I believe Brown and Foster, if I remember correctly. But I failed to pull them. So forgive me for failing to pull them. But the answer lies not in the Negro League stars. It lies in one of those 3 individuals I showed off a second ago. So let's take a look at the listing. So here we go. These are the Hall of Fame listings per year, starting with this past year, 2025. And I'm going to scroll down until we find one of those names. I'm going to go pretty fast because I know approximately where these names are. Interesting to see 2021. Nobody was elected in 2021. That was the height of COVID, just so you know. I remember, if I remember correctly, the last player or individual elected, brother or relative-wise, again, accepting out the Negro League stars because I did fail to mention them. I'm going to keep an eye out for the Negro League stars as I'm scrolling down here. But I believe, okay, here like Ray Brown, Willard Brown, these 2 guys were brothers. They were elected, they were half brothers technically, elected at the same time, Willard Brown and Ray Brown. I don't believe anybody else. No, nobody else was there. Wait. I'm listening. I'm looking for an individual I know. It's getting close now. Two. Because here we go. Where's Lee McPhail is what I'm looking for. Lee McPhail was elected in the. Oh shoot! I thought it was in the mid '90s. Here I am bragging about it, and I can't find it. Yeah, 1998. It was he was elected. I missed it. There is Lee McPhail was elected in 1998. His father had been elected quite earlier. See if I can find out when it said his father was elected. It does not say. Larry McPhail was inducted in 1978. So, but the Wayner brothers is obvious here. It is on the card. So, with Lee McPhail and Larry McPhail, they would not have been first because Lee McPhail was inducted in 1998, but his father, Larry, was inducted in 1978. So they were inducted 20 years apart, but by 1978, both of the Wayner brothers had been elected. So Paul went in first because Paul was a 3,000 hit career member, 3,000 hit club member, and Lloyd got in '67. So in 1967, you have a brother elected when another brother was in there. But did that beat the Wright brothers? Now, I'm going to speed ahead. Here is Harry Wright's card. You can see here he was elected in 1953. So unless George was elected later than 1967, it's going to be the Wright brothers. And I'm going to scroll down real fast because George was elected real early. George Wright was elected in 1937, this very second class. So the answer, in effect, is the Wright brothers because in 1953, Harry Wright was elected to the Hall of Fame and his brother George had already been elected. After that is when the other family members came into being. All right, so the answer was actually Harry Wright, the first member of the Baseball Hall of Fame elected who already had another family member elected to the Hall of Fame. A lot of people said the Wayner brothers. I mean, a lot of people said the Wayner brothers. That's not the answer. It was the Wright brothers. So we're back here again. We will shuffle once and spin, pause, because let me make sure. Boston fan Alan, you can only win once a week on my channel, so you are out. But we will spin. Good luck to everybody on this one. Yes, I did pick up a couple small sets recently. I went to, where did I go? I'm trying to remember where I was. That's where it was. I went to a local touristy trap place the other day. I had my son home, and we were just going out for the day, and we went down to a place, a touristy shopping mecca in the eastern part of Pennsylvania known as Peddler's Village. Some of you may be familiar with it, but we went there for the day. There is a sports card shop in Peddler's Village. It is highly overpriced. Everything in Peddler's Village is highly overpriced. I suppose perhaps they're considered outlets from people from New York, but yeah, everything there is way overpriced. But I was able to pick up a small little cool set I'll show off at some time in the near future, and picked up a couple Pokemon things for my kid. Oh, pause. That was 3 in a row. I never told you what you were playing for, but that's okay, because Hunter Boucher. Hunter, you get this 2022 Allen Ginter Reggie Jackson mini card. That's what you're getting. So congrats to you. That'll be sent out to you in the near future. Moving on to Friday. Friday's question, I said, the first modern World Series occurred in 1903. It was Pittsburgh versus Boston. I said, who were the managers of the two clubs? Now, a lot of people, everybody got this right away. They just looked it up and there it was. And a lot of people kept talking about, well, gee, did you notice it was a player manager? It was a player manager. It was a player manager. Well, Sometimes I think that Connie Mack was the first manager who wasn't a playing manager. For the longest time, the manager of the club was also the player, almost exclusively. It didn't happen all the time, but almost always that was the case. And that was the case in this one because your player manager for the Pittsburgh Pirates at the time was Fred Clark. I believe Fred was where was he? An outfielder. He's just an outfielder, but he was the player manager on the Pittsburgh squad in 1903. For Boston, it was Jimmy Collins. Love this awesome Boston Americans uniform Jimmy is in. This is from the Fleer Red Sox master set. There's a whole set dedicated just to the Red Sox from 2001 by Fleer. This obviously is in the American Archives set of Fred Clark. So Fred Clark and Jimmy Collins was the answer. What you're playing for, really cool card of Ricky Henderson, 2021 Panini, Absolute Baseball, the Extreme Team. One of a couple different insert cards, Extreme Team, Ricky Henderson. Really cool card of Ricky's, what you're playing for. Again, the individuals up here on the screen were kind enough to throw out a guess. We must remove, let's see, Hunter is out. Did Boston Fan throw out a guess? No, Boston Fan did not participate on Friday, so only Hunter gets dropped. Everybody else is a regular, of course. Shuffle once, spin. Good luck to everybody on this one. So, yeah, I didn't get at the Facebook Marketplace either. It's almost become a tradition for me and the wife to take a drive on a Saturday or Sunday out to the hinterlands of the Philadelphia, eastern Pennsylvania suburbs and track down a baseball card collectible purchase. There's a couple things on on Facebook Marketplace near me that I've been wanting to get. I just haven't gotten around to doing it. I have to make it a point to do it maybe next weekend when we get a chance. I guess it's a nice leisurely drive, and again, try to convince my wife, hey, we get to spend time together. What are we doing? Well, we're going to get baseball cards. Doesn't that sound like fun? Well, maybe not, but I have fun. I think she just enjoys, like I said, a leisurely drive with me through the country. So it's a win-win if you ask me. Oh boy, what am I doing? Okay. Anyway, so yeah, looking forward to the postseason, or I should say the playoffs now. First game is tonight, too. It's the American League Championship Series. Mariners-Tigers starts tonight. Very much anxious for that. Go M's. Can't wait to see the Mariners make it to the World Series. I'm very much looking forward. I think Major League Baseball would love to see the Mariners get to the World Series, mostly because Major League Baseball wants the two teams in the World Series to be draws. When there's two scrub teams that limp into the World Series and nobody watches, they lose revenue. They're not going to pause 3. Alan, another Alan, grade worthy. You're going to get this awesome Ricky card. Congrats to you, sir. But they don't want the Brewers to get there. The Brewers are not a team that's going to draw fans, but the Mariners will, because Cal Raleigh, him and his 60 home runs as a catcher, will draw fans, and the Dodgers, because Shohei, will draw fans. So the Major League Baseball, I believe, really wants an M's Dodgers World Series. Otherwise, they don't believe many people are going to watch. So anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed that. As always, come back again next week because we will have more trivia and prizes to give away then, all right? Appreciate you all watching. Have a great rest of your week. See you next week. Take care.